We are almost ready to publish the preliminary version of the FlagShip game, but before doing so, we need to finalize the application. Finalizing the application means adding general information, adding an icon, and also renaming some of the components in order to make it easier for the developers to keep working on the next steps. For instance, we could call this first image sprite, which is the one that contains CodeWeek, we could rename it and call it CodeWeek. Noting that this is nothing to do with the content of the sprite. So we could write any name here, but the more similar the name is with the content, the better. As for the other sprite, we rename it in EU mouse because it represents the mouse. And then we can rename even the button, calling it play because this is the play the game button. And we can rename also the elements of the second screen, the gameplay screen. Here we have several elements, and to make them their name significant, we can call this button join. We can call this other button share. Then we can call this label space, because this is just using for adding some space here. And again, we could change the name of this label and call it message, because it is the message that we want to share. And finally, as for label tree, which is just a placeholder used for adding vertical space, we could call it vertical space. Also, I would like to show you that it is possible to change the text that appears at the top of the screen, because by default it takes the same name as the screen, but we can change it. And for instance, instead of having gameplay written here, we could title it FlagShip game, and the FlagShip game will appear here even if the screen is still called gameplay. We can do the same on the other screen, and clicking on the screen we can change the title into FlagShip game. Then there is something else that we can do before publishing the application. The first thing is putting some text here. The About screen is the one that appears when we ask for general information and standard information about the application by pressing the default button on Android devices, and we can write some text here. Okay, here is the text. FlagShip Game is a crowdcoding educational open project promoted by EU CodeWeek ambassadors, and then the link to the website, and I will write exactly the same text on the other screen. Then going back to the first screen, which is the main screen of the application, we find also the possibility of uploading an icon. An icon is the icon that appears on our Android device on the home page or on the application page when we install it. So this is the icon that has to be pressed in order to launch the application. I prepared a file to be used as an icon, so I have just to upload it now, and the file is CodeEU icon.png. Okay, let's test the final version before uploading it on the Google Play Store. So this works, and what we have just added is this option that when we click on About this application, shows the text that we have just entered. Got it, and then we can keep working on the application, play the game.
You're playing with a game that does not yet exist. It's waiting for you to contribute to code it. Starting October 11th, join the team of developers and bring the game to life. We need your help.
Implemented so far. Thank you very much for your attention.